Okay, Team Impact. We are moving on to chapter 5, lesson 2, a thing called absolute value. It's kind of a neat term, and we're going to define what absolute value is and how we find it, it's not too bad. So just hang with me, um, real quick. The distance between a number and zero on the number line is a thing called absolute value. Okay. So if I flip this over and take a look at this next page, excuse me, uh, you're going to see some things here. Okay. So, excuse me. So let's find the absolute value of some numbers. Okay. Whether it is a positive number like 2 or a negative number like -2, they have the same absolute value. Why? Because they have the same distance from zero. From here to here is the same as from here to here. They have the same value, the same absolute value. Now, this is a -2 and this is a 2, but think of it this way. The absolute value of any number is always its positive. So we write the absolute value like so. There's 2. We take two straight lines, not parentheses, but this is read the absolute value of 2 is 2. Why? Because it's two places from 0. The absolute value of -2 is it's also 2 because it is two places from 0. And you're going to see how this thing sets up here. Okay, so let's get in here and let's get circled up for the homework before we get to that guided practice. But we're going to do numbers 1 to 22. We're just going to basically do the whole thing. We're going to skip number 23. So let's just do it this way. All right, let's take 23 here and get rid of it right there. Okay. All right, and we have the rest. All right, so let's get into this thing and let's have some fun with some absolute value. Okay, so what is the opposite of 0? Well, when we talk about integers, all right, we talk about 2 and -2, -5 and 5. Those are all integers. -2,000,000. Those are all integers because they're whole numbers and they're opposites, right? The opposite of 0 is 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative, okay? What is the opposite of 6? Well, let's write this down. Here's 6. The opposite of 6 is -6, and the opposite of -6 is 6. So we're back to the original place. So the opposite of the opposite is 6. Okay, now we can evaluate some problems here. Now, when you look at problems that have absolute value, the absolute value sign overrides in the order of operations first. What does that mean? That means that we have to find the absolute value first, and then we would subtract, or then we would add, right? So let's go. What is the absolute value of -5? 5. It's 5 places from 0. All right, now this is a little bit unique. The absolute value of 20 is 20. Bring the minus down. The absolute value of -3 is 3. 20 minus 3 is 17. Okay. The absolute value of 16, how far is that from 0 or -16 is 16. The absolute value of -12 is 12. Let's add them up. 16 and 12, well, 16 and 10 is 26, and two more is 28. And we like to circle those, okay? So again, absolute value overrides the order of operations. A game show contestant lost 15 pounds. He answered another question incorrectly and lost another 15 points, not pounds, Mike. How many points did he lose total? All right. Well, the way we could write this is to find out the total number lost. He lost 15, which is a negative. So we're going to find the absolute value of that. And then he lost another 15 points, right? And that's how that should be written. So the absolute value of this is 15. The absolute value of this is 15. He lost a total of 30 points. Okay. All right. Let's jump to the next page here and jump into some problems here. It's not too bad, I don't think, here. All right. Let's maybe let's do 1, 4, 7, 10, and 11 here, okay? Find the opposite of each integer. The opposite of 6 is negative 6? Find the opposite of each integer. Well, the opposite of that is negative 12, and the opposite of that is 12. So there we are. Let's circle those final answers. The absolute value. So how far is negative 14 from 0? It's 14 places. Okay. All right, two more. Jason spent $18 on a shirt. Then he spent $24 on a pair of pants. What is the total amount he spent? Okay, no problem. So he spent 18, which is a negative. When you spend, you deduct. And we're going to add that to another negative 24, right? And what we want to do is find the positive of these two and then add them up, because we got to switch those back to really a positive. How far is negative 18 from 0? 18. How far is that from 0? 24. And we add 18 and 24. Well, 24, watch how I do this, and 20 is 44 minus 2, because that's 2 away from 20, right, is 42. So it's 42 dollars is the amount he spent, okay? So just using a little bit of distributive property there to add, right? Okay. Lily saw a jellyfish at 6 feet below sea level. So below sea level would be a negative, but let's come back to that. She saw a bright blue fish at 10 feet below sea level. What is the distance between the blue fish and the jellyfish? Okay. Wow. So we have a little bit different deal here. So we have one at 6 feet below, right, which is negative 6. And we have another at negative 10 feet below. What is the distance between those two? All right. So when we look for the distance between those two, we're going to subtract. So let's take negative 10 and the absolute value of that, minus, because we want to find the distance between those, the absolute value of negative 6. So 10 minus 6, because the absolute value of those numbers is the positive, is 4. 4 what? 4 feet. So the difference between this fish, which was the blue fish, and this fish, which was the jellyfish, was 4 feet. There's 4 feet difference underneath the water. Okay? So working absolute value. If you were in class, we would continue on with a couple more word problems here probably, but I think you'll be fine. Again, you have numbers 1 to 47. You're skipping 23. Okay? All right, guys. Have a good day.